Ellie.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I'd just like to let the panel introduce themselves and then we'll kick off.
Hello, I'm Aaron. I'm a white 48-year-old male with a receding hairline. And I'm straight, so I'm in a majority.
Hello, is that how we introduce ourselves?
Yeah, well, apparently so.
Hello. Okay, no details about me as a person. My name's Emma. I'm head of social content at Avanti, which is formerly Virgin Trains.
Hello, I'm Victoria. I'm a content creator. I don't like to call myself an influencer.
We'll get into that in a bit.
We're getting into that, yeah. Oh, yeah. Isn't that the whole point of the panel? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I have just an Instagram account called Victoria Eames, and it's just me as a mum talking about Fanny, really.
Love it. Not even 5 minutes in, I absolutely love it.
So it's hard to follow that up. Thanks, Victoria. Yeah, my name is Jade Richards. I am one of the co-founders of DivInc, and we help brands to reach Gen Z.
Thanks. Before we kick off, I just want to kind of do a show of hands in the room. Can you put your hand up if you're from a brand? Oh, fantastic. And how about if you're from an agency? Way more brands than agencies. And last show of hands, have you used or done influencer marketing before? Okay, so yeah, pretty savvy audience, damn, okay. Right, so to kick it off, Victoria, you said you don't like to be called an influencer. Yeah. Why?
I mean, this is just my personal experience. I'm not from the advertising world at all. I worked in a school for 12 years in a support staff role. I'm literally just a mum. This whole thing has happened to me by accident. But for me, personally, I just feel that an influencer is trying to sort of sell a very aspirational, unachievable lifestyle, which is totally not what I'm about on my feed at all. And actually, I'm not just endorsing products when I do a brand campaign. I'm actually creating an original piece of content for them that I feel is specific both to that brand but also to my audience. Yeah, I think that.
So you call yourself?
A content creator.
And your other title?
And my other title, well, I'm kind of, a little bit nervous about saying this, but comedian.
Love it.
Yeah.
So Jade, just to pick up on some of the points that Victoria made, what do you think about, or what do you, influencer marketing, what does that term mean to you?
Yeah, I think, I agree with Victoria. I think when I think of influencers, a lot of the time I'm thinking of somebody, it's super aspirational, completely out of touch. And I think when you look at an influencer, it's kind of their whole brand is built around them and not so much their talent. When I look at a content creator, I see somebody that's maybe a photographer or a videographer, and it's built around their talent. When I look at an influencer, sometimes I think it's just built around them and their lifestyle, which I think can be, the market can be quite saturated for that, and I think it can be quite quickly removed from them. But if you're talented and you're a photographer or videographer, nobody can really take that away from you.
So Emma, when you're, as a brand, when you look to work with influencers or content creators, what is it that you're looking for? And do you think there's a differentiation between an influencer and a content creator?
Yeah, I think at the moment there's a huge amount of potential to use influencers more creatively. So rather than kind of using them as a distribution channel, where you often tack them onto the end of a campaign, using them right at the kind of creation of the idea. So one example that I think is absolutely brilliant is the thing with Woodry Giggs, is that how you say it? Where you can't take him out of that campaign, he is the campaign. So I think kind of creatively using these personalities to say something, and we were talking about this before, but I don't think, there are very few people that I would say would be off-brand. It's all about context and about using people cleverly to say something. So yeah, in my previous role at Hostelworld, we worked a lot more with content creators, and this is where the customer comes in as well, because they can often create the most powerful content in terms of conversion. We used a tool called Olapic, which helps you find UGC at scale, request rights to it, and then integrate it into your website, into your emails, and they've got some pretty insane stats about how much better that converts than the kind of photography that a brand would create about themselves. So I think the secret to that is seeing your brand through the customer's eyes and why they love you.
And Picking up on some of those points, Aaron, when we were talking, you were saying that a lot of the work that you do with brands is kind of educate them about brand communities. Give me some kind of idea about that and kind of what is a brand community?
Yeah, so at Kindred, our core mission, talking about JFK, our core mission is to donate, be the largest corporate donor to charities worldwide. And how we're going to do that is by slicing off a tiny proportion, 0.01% of the global retail market. And we're working with thousands of brands at the moment. I think we've got about 2,500 brands, and working with advocates. I think they prefer to be called advocates than influencers, because I think you associate influence with being under the influence or being sort of told to do something that you don't really. Yeah. And what we do is we encourage brands to give back. And I think for us, conscious consumerism is the next big thing. And brand communities, where you have best clients, we were talking about loyalty earlier, you turn your best clients into advocates. And our platform does that for you in under 10 minutes. And
so advocates is a good point. And when we were in all the calls that we had, one thing that came out about influencer and influencer marketing and how it should work is about authenticity. So Victoria, as you are your brand, how is there sometimes a fine line when brands approach you, and how do you make sure that you bring your authentic self to work every time?
I mean, I absolutely love that term, my authentic self. I don't know how to be anything else. It's like, that is who I am. But I suppose I have had brands come to me that I've just thought there's absolutely no way that I would, promote that, because it just doesn't fit in with the message that I'm trying to put out there. So I can give you an example. I did say that I wanted my teeth whitened. But then someone said, I'll do your teeth for you. We could do a campaign. And actually I was like, no, because that's not, even though I want that's like a real vanity thing. And it just wouldn't fit in with what I'm talking about, which is, I suppose, just being yourself and having confidence and finding the funny side of life and, all about motherhood as well. So I said no. But when I do work with a brand, I just find that the campaign works the best if they give me the creative freedom to create what I want that fits in with, what my audience expect from me, I suppose, because I'm not always just churning out branded content. It's a lot of the time it's just stupid little videos and whatever that I've made myself. So they have to fit in with that. And I have had it when a brand's come and they've been so prescriptive and literally given me sentences that I have to put into my caption. It just feels wrong. Not only for me, I feel really uncomfortable having to post that content, but I know for a fact when my audience reads it, they just look at it and go, nah.
Yeah.
That's
they
a joke.
can see it's not you. They know it's sport. And even if there is an exchange, which end of the day, it's your job and you've got to get paid for it, it's got to be, seen to be real, and it's got to be something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And you work, Jay, with a lot of, you call them consultants, which I love. So talk about how you integrate the consultants at DivInc with brands.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So what we do is we help agencies and brands to build their products, their branding and their marketing by enabling them to collaborate with over 200,000 Gen Z consultants across the country. So for us, our whole focus is lowering the bar, lowering the entry to coming into these industries. A lot of these industries, it's really an introduction that will normally get you into the industry, or you need to go to the right university or college or whatever it may be. And we've seen there's just lots of insanely talented young people aged 16 to 25 that want to work in these brands, they want to work in these agencies, but they will never get the in. So what we do is we enable them, so a brand will come to us and they will say, we want to create a marketing campaign aimed at this generation. And we go out to our consultants and we say to them, pitch to us the type of marketing campaign you would do for the NFL. We get hundreds, if not thousands of those across the country. And we choose the best ideas, take those to the brand. The brand chooses the final 5 consultants that they like. And those, not the consultants, the ideas that they like. And those consultants are invited into the brand's head office to work with the senior leadership team to actually create that campaign, that product, or that branding. So for us, they're only being chosen based completely on their talent and on their idea. So for us, that's really exciting because, and as you will see, I always call them consultants, they never kids, they never students, because a lot of brands come to us and they have no idea how to reach this generation. And we're always saying these consultants are the experts. So bringing them in your ideation and in your creation phase is really where the power is. And we get to see a lot of young people, they completely pivot their whole lives. So they're studying history at the University of Durham. They come in and work with a brand, and then they suddenly go, actually, you know what? I'm really keen to work in the marketing space. And they pivot everything to then go focus on marketing, which is really, really cool. But I think the importance of it all is understanding that that they understand their generation best. I'm a millennial, I'm 29, but they look at me like I'm a caveman. I'm like, I'll send it to you on WhatsApp. They're like, oh God, that's disgusting. Like, can you not just send it via the Snapchat?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? Who's on Snapchat? But yeah, so it's really, really interesting.
I'm on Snapchat just because of my son, because if you say WhatsApp, he's like, no, man, no. Emma, as a brand, how difficult is it? I mean, it's interesting your point about saying that anybody could be on brand. I won't name the ad I was looking at last night, but I looked at the ad and it's got musicians in it, and he's advertising a product, and it just doesn't work for me. It's just really, you just go, hang on, that's because he hasn't released anything lately. Obviously needs a bit of cash, and his agent's gone, okay, promote this product. So it just really hasn't gelled together. But how difficult is it when you're a brand? I mean, Avanti, which is Virgin Trains aren't necessarily that sexy unless you're into trains. And a lot of, which some people are, not a problem, yeah. But a lot of people, their experience on trains, when it's a good experience, you don't, talk about it, but when it's a bad experience, then that's when people have a kind of emotion about trains. So as a brand, how do you, is it quite difficult when you're looking at kind of who you should work with and how you need to get that message across?
So I can probably answer that by saying the last influencer we worked with was Dean Gaffney. But I think, yes. Follow him on Instagram, that's what I'm saying. So I think going back to the whole creativity thing, I think there's a lot of kind of laziness in influencer marketing. And I think that's because it is kind of seen as its own thing. Whereas actually it can just be a building block for a campaign, and sometimes the idea can start with that influencer or with that personality. So with Dean, it was actually quite a silly little campaign, but we got some really amazing results. We won some awards and stuff. Basically, we have talking toilets on board, and we decided to allow our customers to become the voice of the toilet. Very exciting. It's closed now, so it's too late. He was kind of the face of this campaign because his career is in the toilet. And the whole thing was that he's...
That's genius, actually. I like that.
It's harsh, but he loved it. He knows his brand. And basically, he was fronting this campaign, launching this search, and he wasn't good enough to be the voice of our toilet, but we were looking for people that were. And it worked really well. It got, and what I think is another kind of interesting area that just isn't really being tapped into enough is the PR potential for influencers. So this campaign did get a lot of PR coverage as well. And we ended up turning Dean into a Facebook bot, which is the sort of thing that you just didn't know you needed in your life until you have it, and then you're like, okay, I can talk to Dean Gaffney all the time. So it was, when we presented this idea to the brand team, they did not like it at first, until we kind of explained, like, this is the logic, it's a bit of fun, and it will get people's attention, and it is still on brand because it's even though we're a premium brand, just because we work with Dean Gaffney doesn't mean, we're saying this is our customer, Dean Gaffney. It's you're using it a little bit more cleverly to kind of position it.
Okay.
So yeah, but like I say, I think almost anybody could be.
So it's about the creativity piece.
Yeah.
It's how the story is told. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, sorry, do you think humour helped as well?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think that really helped, and kind of tonally getting it right. There's another campaign that I really liked from our PR agency, the Romans, where they were approached by one of those kind of DNA sort of online, you prick your finger and you find out who your grandparents are. and they enlisted. So they had no money, which is always a good start for a campaign, and they enlisted the man with the world's smallest penis, and put him on a billboard and said,
We've
it's
had
just a-
Fanny and penis. It's not even midday.
Yeah, I don't know how we got mic'd
Sorry,
up quite
Steve.
early on, so I don't know how much else you caught. But basically, they put him on the billboard and said, you know, it's just a little prick, which is really clever. They only had it on one billboard, but it got some PR coverage. It got people talking, and you know, most people wouldn't want their brand to be associated necessarily with that, but it worked in that context and it made people remember it and it was funny.
So talking off context, Aaron, when you're speaking to brands, because I know how you're going to follow that. Sorry, when you're
I
speaking,
could, but
when you're speaking to brands and you're getting them to tap into maybe their CSR budgets or talk about ethical advertising, how do you kind of weave the two together?
Well, I think we've all got a collective responsibility to society. I think, everybody bangs on about it, but very few people do anything about it. Charities are suffering with donor fatigue. We have created a solution for charities to allow their donors to shop every day and donate every day. Brands have communities, as I was saying earlier. It's not about CSR, but it can amplify your CSR through your employees and through your best customers. And your best customers can easily be turned into a sales army. We're doing this with the biggest brands on the planet right now, the most successful influencer brands, and sustainable brands, small brands as well. And for me, influencer marketing comes with a responsibility. And that responsibility right now is in a trust void. And we need to change that and change the narrative around influencers, who will be the future, are the future already. And it's a decline, but even though it's a declining circle of influence at the mega level, at the small level, peer-to-peer is where it's at. And I think Kindred solves that for brands.
Yeah.
And I ran a company called Quintessentially globally, which was for the 0.01% of the world's elite. Now, we've created something that I hope brands, and we're here today, can talk to us about, okay, how do we contribute to the society we're within? Because social entrepreneurism, which I think we're going to talk about later, is incredibly important. I'm really good at making money. I'm an entrepreneur. I've built a global brand. Now I want to do that on behalf of society. And it's not just me, it's lots of people that want to build businesses. And you're in control of brands that can give back to the consumers that consume your products.
Do you think that's on that? Do you think that's where influencer marketing, because it has kind of been tainted? I mean, everyone's seen what happened with Fire Festival, and when you look at the mega influencers, yes, of course you're going to shift product, but just because of the nature and the size of their following. However, people realise that. Well, I don't know if they do realise maybe that that celebrity doesn't actually use that product. So I mean, it was scandals around fake followers, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So how do we? So do you think that maybe the industry has grown up, but influencer marketing hasn't yet? And how do we address that?
Okay, so in very simple terms, my dad was in retail, and he always used to say to me, "There's no point having footfall. Footfall just wears out your carpet." Eyeballs, likes, they're all great. Purchase intent is amazing. But unless they buy something, they've just worn out your carpet. And unfortunately, influencer marketing is going to suffer with this because we've worked with influencers that have driven 0 sales. Okay? And look at you all, no. But look at you all nodding. You're all looking at influencers going, apart from brand building, I need to see solid ROI, right? Kindred does that for you. And I'm only saying it because, check it out, download it. I want you to download it and have a look at it. Because at the core of us, if an influencer sells you stuff, and by the way, we're free, if you sell stuff for you, we cut a piece off for charity. That's all I'm here for, is to make you aware that I want to move influence or advocacy into a space where it actually cares for the society it is responsible for. And that's what we're doing. Okay.
So as well as the societal responsibility, I think some of the points there and something that the industry probably needs to look at are the metrics. How are we measuring it correctly? Is it, if you get a mega influencer, obviously they're going to drive a lot of likes, but likes, as you say, don't sell products.
Doesn't feed the chickens.
No. So when you're working with brands, Jay, how will you, what's the balance between, them saying, okay, we want to drive X amount, and you saying actually, because it depends on the product, there's so many dependencies. How do you advise brands in terms of, how they should work with your consultants?
Yeah, great. It's a really good question. I think a lot of brands we come to, they're kind of, and off the back of the point made a second ago, I think they're getting to a place now where they're looking at influencer marketing and they're kind of like, does it really do what it says on the tin? Can we believe it? Similar to that, we've had no sales from something like that. And I use an example with the NFL. When they came to us, it was kind of, we want to do something that we know is going to work, because we're tired of just throwing money down the drain. And our argument was, okay, so the best way of doing that is by bringing your end user, the person you're targeting, into the room and building with them. Because I can come in, and I know a lot about Gen Z, and I can tell you all these amazing statistics and make up all these percentages. 33% of people say this. But realistically, I'm still 29 years old, and I still will not understand that generation as well as they understand themselves. So for us, I think you can avoid all of the murky mistakes and the problems you're having by really building with the people that you're targeting. Because if you do that, then you skip out the almost the guessing. And a lot of the time I go to a lot of brands and agencies, and it's hilarious because they think they're targeting millennials, but they're actually targeting Gen Z. Because Gen Z, some of them now are 24, 25 years old. So it starts off from there. Just really figure out who that target audience is. And then when you are building, just be honest and bring them into the room. And whether you do it through us, probably do it through us, but if you don't do it through us and you do it directly, just really bring them in and say to them, okay, what should we build? Tell us what we should build. And I think, obviously, you take that with a caveat, because obviously you take that with your experience and everything like that, but it goes beyond focus groups saying, hey, we've built a lovely glass. Tell us how amazing our glass is. And it's actually saying, okay, what should be the next step? And I think if brands and agencies can do that, then it will really help them to do influencer marketing properly, instead of just a spray and pray approach, which is what I'm seeing at the moment. We'll just give 100 influencers our tooth whitening thing and hope that it boosts sales.
And when brands are coming to you, Victoria, do they have specific KPIs? Are they saying, we talked about some of your products, you were tenor lady. It's needed. Did tenor lady come to you and say, right, we need to shift X amount of units, or how does it work in terms of the KPIs that they're giving you?
So two of the big brand partnerships that I've had in the last 8 months have been LV, who are a pelvic floor trainer, and they also have a hands-free breast pump. We just had a baby. I've got a saggy fanny. No, I haven't. And I've been pumping. I've done a lot of pumping because I've been exclusively breast pumping and then combi feeding, whatever. So I've got those products. I am actually using those, properly and in my life. And then the tenor lady is the incontinence thing too, but their angle was it's new mums and you might experience it after you've had a baby, whatever. Neither of them came to me with any sort of we need to push this amount of X, Y, Z. I'm like, you're saying words. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What is Gen Z's? You've said it 50 times. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
They're an age group.
Okay, they're an age group. Obviously not relevant to me.
They'll have babies soon, I promise.
None of us in this room.
No, okay. But they haven't ever. And in tenor, they said you don't even have to show the product. I didn't show the product once in the whole. I did 4 things with them. I think 4 feed posts. Went to an event and I never showed the actual product. Which
but that was more an awareness campaign.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was still, ultimately trying to push the product. And I mean, the LV thing was the same. Both the trainer and the pump only featured for probably 5 seconds of a 60-second video, and what I was talking about, is my story, I suppose. But if someone came to me, in fact, a brand did come to me and say, we want you to reach 50,000 views on this video, and I just said, not interested, because I can't do that.
Guarantee it,
I can't guarantee that. And they said, if you don't get that, then you're going to have to create more content for us. Well, fuck off, sorry, but it takes me time and thought and energy to put into creating content, so I'm not going to do that. You know, when I'm given metrics that I have to achieve, it's just, it's not possible. But I know off the back of doing my LV breast pump video, they sold out after I did that, so I know for a fact that I did shift something, doing my job well. But yeah. And sorry, go on.
No, it's all right. Off the back of that, Gen Z are born between 1995 to 2012, just for clarification, so everyone knows.
Just outside it. So we've touched on several points there in terms of authenticity, creativity. You know, brands really need to work in unison with the influencer or whoever they're kind of working with. What other advice would you give? And when you are speaking to brands and agencies, I mean, we talked about it earlier, Jade, what are you saying to them? How are you helping to kind of them leverage this channel? Because it is a powerful channel.
Yeah, I think just telling them to be honest, because it's so funny how many brands and agencies, and I say, what are your challenges? And they're like, and I'm just like, well, just tell me what your actual challenges are and we could probably help and solve them. I think a lot of the time, and me included, if someone asks you what your flaws are, you don't really want to tell them. You're kind of like, well, you know what, sometimes I don't sleep as long as I should sleep. But I think when we go into these brands and agencies, I'm saying to them, just be honest about what your problems are, and then people can actually help you to solve them. Because the truth is, we all have them. We're not hitting the targets we want to hit all the time. So if you are honest with this generation, and the funny thing about Gen Z is, they will spot your BS real quick. So they will call you out on it. They'll be like, oh, okay, you're kind of lying about that because I just Googled what you said and it's a lie. And if they do call you out on that, there's a term that people use in this generation. It's called, they will cancel you. So there was a massive drinks brand. They had Kendall Jenner in their campaign.
We all know that one.
And she solved world peace with their can. And I think it was really interesting because I just looked at that and I thought that's a perfect example of somebody that's kind of not really consulted anybody when they've built something. And the funniest thing about it is that would have gone through many, many layers of leadership before it actually got launched. And that's why I'm like, that's a massive problem. And I think if a brand and an agency can learn to be just honest about what they're struggling with, then people can help you to solve that. Whether it's us or whether it's the consultants themselves, they can help you to solve that. But you have to just be radically, and our slogan is brutally honest insights, because a lot of the time they will tell you shit you do not want to hear. The funniest one I had was a brand came to us, they wanted to build something, they brought in all their ideas to the consultants, and they were like, look what we've done. And the consultants just absolutely smashed everything they said to pieces. And they just pulled it apart. And they just said, this won't work and that won't work. And you saw the blood drain from the client's face. And I was like, lol, like I told you, like they're gonna be brutally honest about it. And I think the more honest you are, the more help you can get.
And Emma, when you're working with either other internal departments or working with your agencies, do you have those type of conversations? Do you often push back if they're coming to you with an idea that just doesn't resonate, that you think, with the brand?
Yeah, I think I'm quite a critical person. But I think it all comes down to, like, would you post it on your social media? I mean, you know, a lot of this influencer stuff is just like, if a normal person posted that, you think, okay, she's lost it. It's kind of like the whole Herbalife thing. I've got a friend from school who is in the Herbalife sort of cult and just posts about Herbalife all the time. And you look at it and you're like, oh shit, you're not very well. But I do think if you just judge influencer posts as you would normal people, most of the time you go, oh my God, you sound mad. And I think you've really got to give, especially if you're a big brand, you know, Virgin Trains, people know who Virgin Trains are. We don't need people to post and go, oh my God, I just got this train to Birmingham and it was an hour and 20 minutes and oh my God. So you actually need to do something that's a bit more interesting and gives, what I always think about with influencer marketing is it's not about your brand, it's about your customer. So one example, which I actually quite hate but is very effective, is Calvin Klein. They've got a hashtag called MyCalvins. Look it up on Instagram. They've tapped into the insight that people like to share pictures of themselves in their underwear on social media, and they've given them an excuse to do that. And there are thousands, literally tens of thousands of pictures of people posing in their Calvin Kleins. I think that's really clever. I hate it, but I think it's really clever. So when we're looking at kind of working with influencers, we don't just go, here's a product, post about it. That can be effective if your product is unknown, but if you're a big brand, you need to do something more creative and you need to kind of tailor it to the influencer.
And do you think at the moment it's influencer marketing kind of sits outside everything else, and it shouldn't be viewed in silos, should it? It should be brought into the whole marketing mix, because then it's another channel, it's another way of delivering objectives or for reaching the customer. Do you think that's a bit of a problem that we're going through at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why we're not really seeing much creativity, because people aren't seeing it as a creative tool, they're just seeing it as a distribution channel that they pay for, and you get X amount of reach, which is totally pointless. So yeah.
You were nodding as well, Aaron and Jay. Yeah.
You're all sitting on great clients, best customers, and they're all influencers in their own right. I have 23 followers on Instagram. I only joined Instagram. I am a Gen B. And honestly, turn these best clients who love your brand into advocates. Let's do some simple maths. Even a small brand in the room will have 500, hopefully, clients over the last few years that have bought from them once or twice or 3 times. The followers those people have, and even if they have 100 people each, that's 5,000 people they influence. Put that up to 1,000 people or 10,000 people as best clients with 1,000 followers, you're at an eighth of the population of Britain. We give you the tools to do that. And it is really important that advocacy is actually authentic, and who better than your clients to authentically advocate your own brand. And that's where it's going. Mix that with consciousness and consumerism in terms of giving back, and hopefully you've got a win-win for all brands and all consumers.
Yeah, I think when you and I spoke on the phone, I think the whole siloed situation, you have a lot of agents. I always find it super weird. I'm kind of just like, it's almost like influencers like the dirty little secret. And it's kind of, oh yeah, we do influencer, but we're not too sure what it actually does. And I think it's important to actually, for brands and agents, actually understand what it is. So do a deep dive into it and go, okay, so do we, like TikTok, like so many people going like, what do we do with TikTok? And I'm just like...
because that's another point. I think when people think of influencer marketing, they think of Instagram.
Yes.
And there are so many more channels than
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think the exciting thing about TikTok is that the barrier to entry, which is the phrase I was thinking of earlier and I couldn't think of it and couldn't get it out, the barrier to entry is so low. So you could become a quote-unquote influencer pretty much overnight. If you find the right hashtag, you create the right video, you could have 5 followers one day and 1 million followers the next day. And then you get verified.
Yeah.
And it's that easy. And I think it's, as the barrier to entry gets lower and lower, and you can really start and get access
But
to
I
these.
would argue, I'm sorry, I'm going to argue a bit.
It's cool. No,
because
no
I love
worries.
panels that argue.
We've done everything else, so let's argue
if
now.
I have 1 minute 5 followers and the next minute 1 million followers, my engagement with those 1 million followers are dependent on a hashtag that hit. Right? I can't sell them anything. Right? And now I've got 1 million followers. Brands, give me your money, because I'm really connected to these people. Whereas I would prefer you to find me people that I know, love and respect me, my friends,
That community,
my family.
yeah.
It's got to be a community. Brands have got to think of communities. Yeah? It's the new thing.
Yeah,
No,
but
the
I
thing
think,
is, I 100%
I think you can build
agree.
them
I
on
agree
TikTok.
with
Yeah.
community, and this is one thing that we're massive of. We call our consultants our tribe. So I 100% agree with that. The difference is with this younger generation. So we had a consultant who was in the room with us, and I asked him, "Who are your best friends?" Simple question. And this young guy said to me, he goes, "Oh, my best friend is a kid from Saudi Arabia that I play computer games with every evening." Perfect. Never met the kid in his life. Doesn't know who it is, but that was his best friend. And for me, the way this generation looks at friendship and looks at community and
different.
looks at people that aspire and inspire them, sometimes it will be somebody that's on the other side of the world. And it may be somebody, yes, you discovered yesterday, but I just think it's the authenticity side of it. If they come across somebody that seems authentic, they have the same things that appeal to them, they are like more likely to influence.
But engagement is in free fall.
Yeah.
Free fall. You're lucky to get 1% engagement, north of 500,000 followers. at 5,000 followers, your engagement's at 7, 8, 9%.
Well, that's the
because you
difference, isn't
talk
it,
to
between
them.
mega
They're
and-
friends.
That's the difference between mega and micro influencers, and that's the difference. I mean, we've got to wrap this up. We could stay all day,
Sorry.
but there's other people come. But that's the difference with your community,
I
isn't
think
it?
I'm still considered a micro-influencer. I've got over 100,000 followers, but my engagement is 9%. It's taken me 3 years to build up that community, and it is a community. And like literally, I was just speaking to a woman this morning, and doing voice notes to each other on Instagram, and she's in South Africa. So it's taken me that long, and I'm so invested in them, and they've basically got me to where I am. So I'm not going to then just start trying to sell them, I don't know, fucking teeth whitening or whatever, because it's
not authentic. We've got to wrap up, so just quickly kind of whizzing down the panel, any kind of, what's your top tip for a brand and agency to engage in this space, how to best do it? Jay?
Just be honest. That's it.
Cool.
I'd probably say the same thing, but allow whoever you're working with to bring their own voice into it. That's probably the most important thing, because it's their audience at the end of the day.
Yeah, they know their audience.
Yeah.
Emma?
I would say pretend you don't have any money at all, so that your idea actually has to get people talking. So we've done a couple of campaigns where we did that really effectively. So the toilet voice campaign, people were tweeting like, I want to be the voice of the toilet. We did another campaign called Avocard, where a lot of people were tweeting about it, but also using it and going to the station and taking selfies and stuff. And we actually had some people with, big amounts of followers doing it as well. We didn't pay anybody. We just did something that was really weird and that allowed our customers to kind of say something about themselves, which is, look how quirky I am, which is basically what social media is.
Perfect. Aaron?
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say. You've got an army
your own,
of salespeople underneath you right now. Convert them into advocates and do some good while you're doing it.
Cool. Thank you, Savannah.
Thanks, guys.